Hey, wait a minute, what the cell? Ah, cel-shaded games. What else brings back memories of starting with the early 2000s? Cel-shaded games are an artistic reaction. When you want to go from this hyper-realistic dev, which is about what 90% of people were doing, to this. Totally goofy, totally outrageous. Why would I want to play this when I can play a comic book? For those out there that don't know, the term cel shading comes from the fact that these projects, these video games, derive their visual cues from comic books, which are traditionally cel shaded. In the early 2000s, starting in the early 2000s, you started getting that video game hardware that was powerful enough to draw semi-realistic, bordering uncanny valley for the time, 3D models. So, you as a video game designer had a choice to make. Do we embrace the realism? Or do we create the biggest, flashiest sci-fi environment of all time if you're working for Microsoft and Bungie during these times? Or do we make our game look like a comic book? Now bear in mind, these are all these cel-shaded games in my collection. This is not an all-inclusive list. No in-depth reviews because, well, there are a few games on here. So anyway, let's kick it off with the game called XIII. This is what I think of when I hear the word cel-shaded. Came out in 2003 for the Xbox, GameCube, PCs, Macs, and PS2, and it was published by Ubisoft, based on the comic book of the same name. But the game premise is your lead character, the guy that you play as, has amnesia and slowly unravels his past based on what he was carrying at the start of the game and being fed memories by the cohort agent there. So this game does a good job of visualizing the sounds, like putting the words up on the screen, like you get a pow and a thud and a door creak and a footstep. And they even do you the solid of putting actual comic book panels up on the screen so that you know exactly what it is you got into, if you couldn't tell by the front of the box or whatever. Okay. Up next, we got Cell Damage. Who the hell played Cell Damage?
I am having disappointment. Could be worse.
Going on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 2003. This came out on the PS2, Xbox, PCs, GameCube, and the Game Boy Advance? Is that even the same game? It was published by Konami and designed to go with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV series of the same year. It would be called the early 2000s TMNT. The game got critically panned, but I personally enjoyed it. Retained a lot of the arcade charm of yesteryear, while being put in this new hip thing called the third dimension. Voice acting is hilariously entertaining, bordering Mega Man XIII level. I also enjoy hearing anything that has those death sound effects from Perfect Dark, even if they edited them to make them sound slightly different. It's another game that visualizes the sounds, and it's basically just the goodness of an early 2000s Saturday morning cartoon wrapped up in a video game. Now, the critical question for this game here is, Is there enough game here for a sequel? No? Well, they did one anyway, so there you go.
Afro!
Going on to Afro Samurai from 2009. This was released for the PS3 and Xbox 360 by Surge, not the soda, which winds up being an American-friendly label for the proper publisher, Namco Bandai. So, there you go. Now, here is a quality cel-shaded game. The art style is amazing, as it has to be, to complement the manga and anime of the same series. Voice acting is awesome. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson does his best with anything. Soundtrack is great. Really feel like a true samurai. The game design on this is fantastic as well. You have no HUD, no heads-up display. You gotta pay attention to everything in the environment and everything on the screen to know exactly what's going on. And even this game box is amazing. Kicks ass. Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z came out for the PS3, 360, and PC, and it was made by Team Ninja.
You're funny.
This is the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon of the Ninja Gaiden series. As long as you don't take it seriously at all, it's a great game. Which, how can you take it seriously when you have zombies, robots, cybernetics, and a dumb revenge plotline? Where the only way they tie it into the Ninja Gaiden series proper is having Ryu do like a small element in the plot. I mean, how can you not love that? Can you tell it's a guilty pleasure for me? Still punishingly difficult since it's Ninja Gaiden. It's in the same series. And it has me wondering, what universe am I in where we get to experience a cel-shaded Ninja Gaiden game? It's crazy. The Borderlands series, yep. You're living under a rock if you never even heard of these games. It's Randy Pritchford's pride and joy. He makes sure everybody got the chance to play it. It's on everything. PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, freaking PC. I'm sure there's a Mac version. It combines a role-play game and first-person shooter elements, but, I mean, you all already knew that. Has more progression elements than Duke Nukem Forever, but then again, what doesn't? And the pre-sequel gets props for having the best music. It's all good. It's all soundtrack, but for the most part, the pre-sequel has better music. We of course can't forget about the Crackdown series. First one came out in 2007, and let's be real here, nobody bought the game because it's the game Crackdown. I mean, let's be upfront. Y'all bought that game because it was the only way you could get into the Halo 3 closed beta back in the day. But it wound up being a decent game on its own because it features our lead hero man, Agent. I don't think he has a name. They just call him Agent all the time. A lot of take-homes from this game include, from the first game, include, you know, best sound design. The sound design's really great. The graphics actually are really good for being cel shading. And let's not forget about those tunes. Yeah, Crackdown 2, we're just gonna kind of forget that that happened, but it did come out in 2009, and yeah, it just, you can get both of these for free on Xbox, so there you go. And I've already talked about Crackdown 3, so go watch that video. So there you go, cel-shaded games. Pretty sure I won't be picking these up again for a while. Final inventory here. I think I missed in... Wait. Did... Oh. Well, that one deserves its own video.